All right, it's 6:01. We'll call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Order of business is approval of the agenda. You need to make, we need to move the minutes and also contract recommendations out of the consent agenda. Other than that, any other amendments to the agenda? Amanda?
We need to go over the abridged minutes that community engagement put together as discussed last month. So we have the abridged minutes prepared for a sample for everybody.
Yep. We can do that. And I almost forgot again.
We did that under new business last time.
Yeah.
Say it again.
We'll put under new business again. Because as we said at our last meeting, that we would have it on the next agenda. But, all right. All right. Is there a motion to approve the agenda with those changes?
I'll make that motion.
By George. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Motion carries. All right. Public comment. Before we begin public comment, if you've noticed on the agenda, there are two sections for public comment, one at the beginning and one at the end. So for that reason, I'm going to limit the public comment to 3 minutes. So having said that, is there anyone who wishes to speak tonight during public comment? All right, and then just another kind of FYI, if you have any questions that you would like to be asked, like during a meeting, you can send those ahead toward myself or the superintendent ahead of a meeting. And, other than that, generally we're not going to answer questions during a meeting. If you come for that reason during public comment. So if you would like them, answered during a meeting, you can submit them ahead, or they can be answered by email. Either way, we can get any information you would like to you. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. So we have the resignations, and we have the warrants 281 and 283. For the resignations, we have so it's resignations and non-renewal. So we have Barb Gallinari, Maria French, and Elizabeth Bremmel for the resignations and non-renewal. And then so we'll be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda with the warrants and the resignations.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Amanda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. For the minutes, I did have one change to the minutes. I noticed under approve agenda, there's a blank line. I think maybe the person who made the motion, recording secretary, just didn't know. But for the record, I have Meredith Morgan made the motion, so that we can have that added to the minutes. That change added to the minutes. Were there any other changes to the minutes?
In the general public comments, the first section, the remarks or the statement by Tammy Holcomb, there's no mention that she was representing the Modern Woodman at all. That I said, which she did state, as I recall.
Per day for an
Yeah,
extra.
the beginning I was representing the MWA, yes.
All right, George, so what, you want the record to reflect that she was?
We should state who she was representing. We knew, but
All right, do you
someone
have
else may
suggested
not
language for that?
maybe right after Tammy Holcomb in the first paragraph, comma, representing the Modern Woodmen of America, comma, spoke to the board.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, any other changes? Yep.
Just going, sorry, sleep on the agenda tonight, would it be possible to have an executive session for personnel? For a discussion?
Okay,
Chris, am I saying that correct? Or-
There's a personnel issue that we might discuss with the board.
okay, I guess we can. All right, so. Okay, would someone like to approve the minutes with those changes?
I'll make that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. And then for contract recommendations. So we'll do support staff. Well, actually, I need a separate motion for that. So did everyone receive the updated contract recommendations in the drive? I would assume these are updated because it looked different earlier today when I looked at it.
Should maybe have like a version number on these if they're changing on us, but I pulled it last night. I don't know if it's different.
I did, that's our latest one. The
Okay.
drive is updated today, so I think that's what. So we'll work on that.
Yeah.
Mine's dated 5/4. Thanks.
So slow. Okay. Well, I'll just go ahead and read them off then. So we have for extracurricular, Lisa Mayette, summer program food service for Middletown Springs. Patricia Swaney, Middletown Springs summer program para. Sabrina Bowen, Middletown Springs summer program staff. John Carlson, Middletown Springs summer program staff. That are academic hours and enrichment hours. What does that mean?
Say it again.
Academic hours and enrichment hours? I've never seen that before.
So there's two different pay scales for the teaching. For licensed teacher is, I think, $40 per hour. Then for the afternoon, for enrichment for the students is $25 per hour.
Okay, all right, I guess that makes sense. John Carlson for Middletown Springs Summer Program Site Coordinator. All right, is there a motion to approve the extracurricular FY24 contract recommendations?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Cara. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, and extracurricular FY23 Joy Ray Student Council Advisor. This is, I did have a question about this. It's prorated for half the school year. Is that the other half of this school year? So it
Yes,
wasn't.
right now. She did not start she didn't start doing it in the fall.
Okay, all right. That's my question, because I thought we had done it before. I thought we had approved the student council advisor before, but I could be wrong.
For us, I mean, it's two different stipends, but it should be one approval though, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, is there a motion to accept the contract recommendation for Joy Ray?
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion by Matt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and for support staff, we have James Willis, a Middletown Springs custodian, $20.56 an hour. We will need a motion to approve pending his resignation from Rutland Town School. So, and we've done this before where someone's applied and and the board can grant approval once they've resigned and are able to work. So, is there a motion to approve the contract recommendation for James Willis upon pending resignation from Rutland Town School?
I'll make that motion.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. And then for last but not least, support staff FY23, Rick Beal and Steve Kanan for maintenance substitutes. We'd be looking for a motion to approve these as well. And this is temporary.
Just fill in the gaps
Fill in the
until,
gaps.
I'll make that motion.
fill in the chinks, the cracks in the wall.
All right. All right, motion by Cara. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, I think I've covered all the consent agenda. Superintendent's report.
Thanks, Eric. I'll be quick. I know we have a pretty full agenda. Most of the items in the report are for informational purposes. There are a few things I just will talk about. I know that Rick and Kara will kind of expand upon some of these, particularly around cognitive testing. We've been saying since the beginning of the year that we anticipate some issues with Cognia, and we've had some issues with Cognia. The rollout has been problematic. I do want to thank Greg Connors, Milt Gardner, Augie Gorich, and our tech coordinators who have really worked really hard behind the scenes and try to address these glitches that have occurred on a daily basis. I do also want to thank Rick and Carol, as well as the staff and the students, for their patience and understanding. It has not been a perfect rollout, to say the least, but we are getting through this, and hopefully that we will not have the same problem next year as we move through. But it was a less than ideal rollout by the state, and I think it's kind of been reflected. But the schools and the staff and the students have been very flexible in handling this and working through the different problems that came with that. So thank you. This time of year really is about preparing for end of year graduation. We have trips coming up. I know Rick and Carol have talked about this. We'll talk more about. But we have Middletown Springs graduation set for June 15th at 6 o'clock, and Wells Village will be June 16th at 6 p.m. And so they'll talk a little more about that, as well as the upcoming trips and end of year ceremonies to celebrate culmination of some students' time here at Middletown and Wells. Strategic plan. This is more just a reminder that at the June 6th GRCSU board meeting, a draft will be presented to the board for review. And I say presented to the board will not be meant for open for public consumption yet. It is a draft that if the board would approve that draft, we then would clean it up and then get it ready to be shared with the public. If there are recommendations or changes that need to be made, then we will take that, go back and we will bring that back to the board in July. So that is the process for June 6th. PCB testing, I know that's been on the minds of a lot of people. You hear it a lot in the newspapers, particularly around the pause or the potential pause. We do not anticipate a pause in PCB testing. We anticipate things moving forward as they have with Middletown and Wells. We have a bit of time with testing. That Middletown Springs, the window for that is October 1st of 2024 to December 31st, 2024, and then Wells is not until July 1st of 2025 through July 31st, 2025. So we have some time with this to kind of work through the logistics and funding. So I know there are people who have been asking. I've received some phone calls from some Middletown and Wells families asking about this, and there are times. Families have asked, why are they so late? The state does do a ranking system based upon when buildings were built, so when they're constructed, size of schools. So there's a formula that they use how they roll out and go through it. So it's not just random. There is a formula. So a couple other things. This is the last week of legislative session. I have provided in your packets just a legislative report for review. Things obviously are going to change. I think in June, when we've seen when the dust is settled with the legislatures and what's been passed and what's been approved, we could then discuss impacts and what that means for our communities and our schools at that time. If you have any questions, feel free to ask or reach out. I'm more than happy to answer them as best I can. And last thing I just want to say is this is Teacher Appreciation Week. I just want to publicly recognize not just teachers but staff. Staff and teachers at Middletown and Wells. They do a great job with our kids. They truly care about our kids, and we're deeply appreciative of all their efforts and their work. So I just want to publicly say thank you to all of them for their work and their dedication to the students of Middletown Springs and Wells Village.
Any questions?
Let you go first. I went first last time. Being a gentleman.
All right. Rick's going
Did you want me to go first?
Yes, yeah.
All right.
Oh, I
All right.
thought you said
Yeah, no,
being a
no,
gentleman.
I've been a gentleman, letting her go first.
Okay.
Perfect
Going
gentleman.
first, I'm going first. Okay. Actually, probably the most exciting thing that has happened at Wells is that we were given a 5-star rating for our pre-K, our preschool. And kind of just to give you more of an idea of what that means is that every 3 years there's an application process. Our teacher, Angie Hayes, did an incredible job. She does an incredible job. Had to send in evidence. They do give a result. We have the rating for 3 years. And what it states is that we demonstrate that we're a program striving beyond licensing regulations to meet higher quality standards, uphold professional practices, and commit to continuous quality improvement. It means we're also eligible for, and we've already applied for, it's a bonus payment for being the first time of $1,550 for the program. So it's pretty exciting. She's wonderful, and we're just really proud of everything that she's done. We started this week a restorative practice leadership team with Middletown. There are a total of 5 from your school and 5 from ours.
Yeah.
We had a couple missing, but our first meeting on Monday was fantastic, and we're really looking forward to the work and working together. Middletown's a little bit ahead of us, and we're kind of eager to see what we can learn from them and build a team together. Let's see, it is Teacher Appreciation Week. We have been celebrating daily at Wells, and I just want to thank the staff. They've been fantastic, and I appreciate everything that they do. Our graduation, as Chris said, is going to be on June 16th at 6 p.m. We have 11 students. They're still deciding where they want to go for their next 7th grade experience, so I can't give you a breakdown yet. On May 26th, our 5th and 6th grade is going to be going on a one-day Vermont trip. And then I'll just go to the cognitive part that we were very grateful that the state extended the deadline to June 9th because the rollout was really frustrating in a lot of ways. Our tech support was wonderful. Like Chris said, we were very fortunate. They were answering calls, giving us help, coming down, rebooting computers, helping us understand like what the next best step would be. And so our teachers kind of took a step back and they started again this week, and it's a much better process. So we will definitely get through all the steps by the time that we need to. And I think that's about it.
Where are you guys going on the Vermont trip?
What's that?
Where are they going on the Vermont trip?
We are going to Montpelier to Ben and Jerry's. And what's the other museum? It's a day trip though. So we're going to leave at 7 in the morning and be back at 9 at night.
You spoke about the leadership team. 5 people from Wells, 5 people
From Middletown.
Cool. I love that collaboration. Is it teachers from both sides? Is it a mix of admin
It's
and
teachers, well, it's myself
Yes.
and Carol.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're really excited about it because it kind of spans. I know we have my kindergarten teacher, a school counselor, special educator. I think we really did get a good mix.
Yeah, we did.
And there's some really great experience in Middletown right now. So I feel like it's gonna be wonderful.
And how often does that?
We're figuring that out right now.
We're just starting.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have another meeting tomorrow, but the day is, I've run out of time
Yeah.
tomorrow, so we're gonna have to reschedule. But the planning of the next step. Middletown Springs a little further ahead because we actually, through attending the BEST Institute, which is tied to Vermont PBIS, Positive Behavior Intervention Support, we've kind of got a framework to run with that we can share it with Wells. So it's just trying to get back into it after COVID and kind of get everything up and running again. So,
But it was a really great first meeting, I think, because our staffs don't know each other all that well. And I think it's going to be a good collaboration.
Yeah, I mean, kudos, because I think last month you guys said you did your first combined,
Faculty
training.
meeting, yeah.
So it's good to see you guys. Yeah.
all right, me?
Yep.
So I'm going to do a little different than I do have a short video that I want to share. This is our 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students going to VINS for a science symposium. The students did a science inquiry. It was probably a month-long science inquiry, and then developing the presentation and collecting the data about recycling. It was about food waste. It was actually separating out the trash to find out what's the percentage of recyclables that actually get recycled. And I'm forgetting one other thing, but there's 3 presentations that our students went to VINS to share. And I have to say, Middletown Springs, their presentation blew. It was just the professionalism, the poise by the students. It was pretty amazing. So I'll show that in a second. But to follow along, our 6th graders are going to Plymouth Plantation. We're staying overnight actually in the museum, and then we're going into Boston for a couple of days. I want to share that through learning that we've been, the upper grade students have been working on initiatives looking at the climate survey information and one celebrating success and areas that need to be worked on. One group, 3 different groups were working on 3 different things. One was celebrating the strengths of Middletown Springs. One was to look at how we can help teachers get more teaching done. And this is them coming up with that. And then working on, they gave a presentation to to the staff about mindfulness and how we need more of that. So we're actually bringing through a WARE grant, someone to come in to work with the students to work about mindfulness to teach the other students. So being those school leaders. So we also had another group work on restorative practice. The sheet that we have students reflect on their behavior and how to make amends. It's a great sheet, but we actually had 3 students take it and actually improve it. So it's much more student friendly. And so I want to say this is the type of leadership that you want to have the kids to develop. Both Carol and I attended a online social emotional conference that was 2.5 days, and you can kind of distill it down that sense of community, belonging by everybody is so important, that you have to have that school community that develops that sense. And it goes to some of the things we're doing through the AWARE grant. We actually have a couple sessions of indoor and outdoor rock climbing for girls and boys. One to learn the rock climbing skills, and then actually go out and do it. And we did some of it last year through Velocity and a separate session for the girls. And it's just amazing how when you have kids supporting each other and that camaraderie and how it can come back into the school. And even a simple thing as having this Gaga pit out here has made it's a kind of a handball game. When you go out through, it's by the back door, the black thing, but it's a game that's fast, and it's a lot of give and take, and it's changed the dynamic of recess, and we do have some brand new playground equipment coming in, sensory equipment. Carol has a playground coming in to the pre-K. So Middletown Springs has really been a really good benefit of the AWARE grant, and I appreciate what it's done for our school and the work by all the staff to create a good learning environment. So I would like to share this quick video. It's about 5 minutes, and it's one group sharing one of their presentations. Oh, gosh. Carol,
If you could just click present now, and then just do your
your
entire screen, and then when you pull it up,
okay,
you can maximize it.
perfect. Okay.
You have to click the screen.
Oh, okay.
Just click that. There you go.
Okay, there we go. And
lunch. Our goal is to reduce our school lunch waste while using the scientific method. Our driving question: why do people waste food at our school? How do we reduce this? Lunch procedure: select 9 buckets, 1 main bucket, 1 chocolate bucket, 1 white bucket, 1 vegetable bucket, 1 fruit bucket, 1 home lunch bucket, 1 home drink, 1 garbage, and 1 scraps. Label the buckets, set up buckets, and pick 14 students.
At the end of lunch, all the 14 students up to entry. You ask them why, or if you made it easy. The reason why. They didn't want to be and they were too old. Those students were dumped their food into the school. 6. After the 14 students have been interviewed and the food is done. We asked the rest of the students to dump the waste into the labor. After all the students dumped their food, we weigh the buckets individually. We're going to take it out. This means that you reset the scale even after it's on the bucket. Mark this information on the reckoning sheet 8. After all the buckets have been weighed, data sheets will be loaded. Clean up the food scraps, compost, and dispose of them.
Inclusion. Our group collected data from the school's lunch survey. Using this data, we were able to add up the total waste per student every year, which is about 65.35 pounds, which compared to the national average of 63.1 is high. With this data, 3,866.4 pounds is the total waste per year in our school on average. With these calculations, we were able to figure out the total cartons of milk per year, which is on average 2,088 cartons of milk wasted every year. That means that our school spends $605 on a year on wasted milk. Even though we are a very small school, we still waste around the national average. Our school needs to reduce the amount of waste per year.
What we learned. At the beginning of this project, we thought our school couldn't make that big of a difference. After seeing our results being higher, we realized that every school can make a difference to stop global warming. We learned that size doesn't matter. Effort does.
So our recommendations to you to prevent food waste are to give smaller portions of food to the younger students and offer seconds if the younger students want more. Based on that, we found that based on how many students' responses that they were too full to finish their meal. Our second recommendation is to provide more alternatives to the main dish to reduce the food waste. And we had this recommendation based on the number of students' responses that they didn't like the meal. Thank you for your time.
We missed it. Go for it.
Yeah, sure. I need fruit, like an apple that has no bottom marks in it, or an unpeeled orange. Now it's no, you're good here. I'm good.
Anyway, there was a lot of questions after, but the level of performance, the information that they had, and I'm not talking down other schools, but just it was a different level of. So I'm very proud, and this is a collaboration between all teachers to get us up to this point here. So kudos to the staff and teacher appreciation.
Thank you. Any questions for Rick or Carol? All right. We'll move on to finance. It's not listed on, oh, it is on here. The forecast is on here. I don't know if anyone had any questions or concerns about that. Lewis isn't here, but all right. Any discussion on finance?
About the rock climbing?
Well, I guess, yeah, the forecast, I mean, does that mean we're behind, are we good, or?
So, speaking of Lewis anticipates a slight revenue this year.
Oh, okay.
Less money, so.
Okay, good.
yeah, I think after, with our last meeting, there might have been some concern. I had some concern, just looking at, what we talked about before with, the repair lines, all three of them being used up.
We had some breakdowns, just unforeseen,
Right.
expensive
Yeah,
breakdown.
well, I had to think back though too, because we did have that big project on the
Right.
front of the school at the beginning of the year. Because I don't think we've seen this much spending on the facilities in the time I've been here. I think it's around 115,000, and okay, but yeah, that was a concern. So it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So, all right, unfinished business, outdoor classroom. So everyone should have received the plans that were submitted for the outdoor classroom. I also have
The photo that I sent you of the setup of the footprint.
Yeah.
If everybody at the end of the meeting or not, that they're still set up outside so you could see like live where we're proposing to put the structure.
Yep. So, and I was just going to share this online for folks, but so did anyone have any questions? We can open up for discussion. And I will share my screen with just to show where the building potentially would go. I figured it'd just be easier just to share it.
And the folks that created those drawings are here tonight, so if you have questions or want them to speak as to, what's been presented, they're here.
Yes, so that's Ashley who's speaking.
Sorry.
Just need first and last name for record.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ashley, if you're ready.
Okay, thanks.
You ready? And then we have
We have Michael Beatty.
Michael Beatty.
I did the drawings.
Okay, I'm not trying this.
And I'm Luke Larson. And I'm happy to help build it if it comes about.
Okay. All right, so all right. So I don't have the only question I had was just just in regards to the structure. I had emailed you on that, and so I think the other discussion that kind of comes into play with the building of a structure on the property would be that the facility committee met and had a discussion about how this would be done, and the recommendation would be that the board approve a clerk of the works, and this person would be responsible for hiring and overseeing construction in this format, and it was also recommended, given the unique situation because it's the school's not built, funding it.
Right.
You guys are funding it, but asking for permission. So it's kind of I would say a special circumstance situation that, yeah. So, I mean, I guess if no one has any questions, at all, or any concerns, we would approve, the outdoor classroom request and donation. I think I wrote that. We would need to approve the request and donation of the outdoor classroom. And the board would also need to take action on appointing a clerk of the works, which would be our facilities director, Scott Hathaway. Ultimately, he was hired as a facilities director basically for this purpose. So,
How much more time is that gonna involve with Chris?
what's that?
How much more time would it involve him being part of the director of facilities? Is it gonna be more than his normal time? Is it gonna be overtime?
I don't know. That's a good question. I doubt it.
I think in our discussion, it was mentioned that he's already overseeing work that's being done
Yeah.
on existing facilities.
True, but
And
if
if it
it's
was a
not,
new facility, he would be overseeing it anyway.
more than just a gazebo, correct?
What's that?
It's gonna be nothing more than just a gazebo.
Have you seen the plans?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Okay, I don't think that looks like a gazebo, but,
But I don't think it looks like an outdoor classroom either, so. That's
we're
where we
always
have-
gonna have to agree to
We're
disagree
gonna
on that
have,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
gonna have to be there.
Yep.
Amanda?
Rick, this question's for you, I guess. Just confirming that you feel like this is the best placement, like it's not interfering with anything else if you're using like the soccer field or anything like that. Like you feel like this is a good spot for it to go for you guys?
I do. It's away from it's kind of on the end of the soccer field, but it will not be a hindrance, less. I see it as a great place. It's not going to take much prep work. Yeah, and it's out of the way of the sliding hill, which is very, very crucial. So
Perfect.
no, I think it's in a good location.
And you feel like that's like a drier, I'm sorry, I'm not really familiar with the grounds at Middletown, but it's like a decent ground area too. It's not like a super wet spot where we might run into issues over time in the spring or something like that.
No, that's a great question, but no, it's our area around the school is pretty well drained, so I don't see that as an issue.
Perfect. Thank you.
It doesn't show it in the plans, but how much, I guess padding the gravel, how much gravel would be there?
Yeah, so
Like just like a layer, I think that was a,
the thought was about 4 to 6 inches. So it's raised up, the floor is kind of raised up from the surrounding area.
How are you planning on getting that in there without putting any indentations into the ground?
well, I think a lot of that's gonna come, that's why having a responsible person, the clerk of the works or facilities director, however you want.
There's also the fire lane that's just off to the left of that picture that comes directly in from West Street. So it's actually closer to a egress point for trucks than coming up the main driveway would. If I'm remembering it correctly.
If any damage to the area that's not considered the building site will be repaired by them as well. Wet grounds, you will indent a truck if it's bringing in a large amount of gravel. So I'm assuming any damage for ruts and stuff like that is going to be taken care of and stuff.
So we've had tractor trailers on that field dropping off.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's wet
But
or not. I don't know.
it is an excellent field, and I kind of pursue that it won't be a 18-wheeler coming in. I mean, I see a smaller, one yard truck coming in. So I think it's minimum.
Okay.
Minimum.
And I think, as I was saying, the person that we're basically appointing to oversee all this, he's going to report back to the board and he's going to take care of all this. So I would imagine that all these issues, hiring the contractor, you know, laying everything out, it's gonna be his responsibility. You know, other than that, I mean, you know, and that's essentially what we discussed.
So I have a question because Green Mountain Immigrants has volunteered their time, energy, and effort to construct this. So what's the process for them working with what are you calling this position?
These are facility
The
managers.
facilities. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what his last name is.
I would say that you can follow up with him
Okay.
and still continue to work with him.
Okay, because that's really important.
That sounds really beneficial, actually, to have someone here to work with who understands the site and the.
Exactly. Because, you know, one thing, you know, like that was brought up when we were talking about the location was like, is there anything there? The facilities manager would know. And there isn't. No power strip is on.
Yeah, it's
and all.
probably not.
And then, you know, another question came up about water runoff, you know, is that a low area? So, I mean, but again, when we start talking about it, it's something that, you know, one person that, you know, lives should be in it. 'Cause I would say too many chiefs and.
Yeah, I love that we have a direct person to work with. It's great.
Yeah. That's, I think that's the whole point. And, you know, it's the board isn't, the board's overseeing it through our facilities manager, and he can make sure that, you know, everything is built, you know, up the codes. And I think also the other part of it too is, you know, the architecture as well. Because we talked before that, you know, is this going, you know, the structure is going to be sound, it's not going to blow over or anything like that.
Right,
That's always
Yeah.
a concern. And then, you know, I don't know, like I can think of a bunch of hypotheticals that would just drag it out. I think I would say I support and trust that our facilities manager can oversee the project, you know, and make sure it's done without minimal issues. So.
Can I just say thank you for you guys for doing this. It's really a great addition to the town and to the school. And just a heads up that in doing our investigation, we did find out that there will be one permit required. And the drawings that you've given us so far will go a long way toward getting that. We'll also need a site plan. The permits with the Department of Public Safety, there's a local office in Rutland. They were very, very helpful in giving me information on this. And it's going to add a $50 fee to the total cost. So, but that's between us and you to, you know, to get that application in and get it approved. The time frame looked favorable, 2 to 4 weeks once it's submitted. So sounds good. Thank you again.
Yeah.
All right, if there's no other discussion, we'd be looking at a motion to Amanda. You're muted. You're still muted.
Sorry. So I just had one more question. I do love the idea. I'm totally in favor. I just, at a previous meeting, there was mention about down the road, once the building is owned by us, potential for maintenance donation and assistance and those type of things. What would the process then be for the schools to ask for some of that was mentioned, or how would that, where's that piece? Is that something, what are the steps for that? And is that still an option?
Is that a question for us?
I think so. I got a comment or?
Yeah, go ahead.
So by looking at the design of the building, I mean, we're talking 20 years. I mean, this should be a pretty stable. I mean, Luke, I know how you build stuff, so I think we'll be around. I mean, I can't imagine.
Do you know the age of the roof? The first, it would just be the roof, keeping up on the roof.
Right.
So,
yeah.
A long time.
A metal roof, or is it a metal, or is it a
Metal.
Metal
Yeah.
roof.
Got metal on it.
Yeah.
Not a roof on wooden boards, so
Yeah.
there's roof boards under the
Yeah.
metal.
So a good aluminum or whatever steel, I mean, it'll last for, I think 15, 20 years. Right?
At least, yeah.
And that's why you chose locust as the.
Yes,
the
locust will
nation.
last a very long time.
So that's what's in contact with the ground. That's where the moisture is, so that'll last pretty well. Not really in contact with the ground because it's,
Well, there's
it's
helical
close.
piers.
Yeah, it's steel pier.
Years, yeah, I went to that website, and left me more confused. That's- okay, yeah, no, I've got locust trees in my yard, so I know it. Okay.
And then our only other, FFU's only other question was that, that this building be able to fall under what umbrella, the umbrella for, community being able to use this structure as well, like the library they sign whatever they sign to use the multipurpose room for the pie for breakfast. So if the library wanted to use it or somebody wanted to use it, it'd be nice to know that they sign whatever that liability form is, saying that y'all aren't liable for anything that happens. That is a really important piece to this, that it not just be this outdoor classroom structure, but it's something that the community is able to utilize as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know the process for putting it underneath that.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
So that would, any school structure on school ground that we can use for school facilities, there's just a basic form that needs to be filled out.
Okay, beautiful.
Which covers all that, so.
Perfect,
Yeah.
awesome.
That's actually one of the policies to it.
So.
Did that answer your question, Amanda? I'm sorry, so go ahead.
No, is it believed that there'll be no power to the structure and no cooking, anything in the structure as well?
Yeah, the way I see these plans,
There's no cooking, no power, no nothing, stuff like that being done in the structure? Okay, and this will fall under the insurance program that they have to prove, insurance that, the policy that we approved and everything else and stuff like that? Okay,
I would,
because that kind of eliminates birthday parties and stuff like that when you look at the policy that you guys approved or that was approved under the program on those policies that we said that we weren't gonna allow just simple people to use facilities.
I got you. Well, yeah, we can talk about that when we get to policies. So. I get what you're saying though.
All right, make sure.
Yeah, I would say that these plans, I don't see anything in here, for electricity, just an outdoor structure. So, I would expect that that's what's going to be built. So, all right. So, if there's no other discussion,
Does that mean we couldn't put electric out there in the future?
That had to be discussed.
yeah, it would have to be discussed and.
That was one of the asks of the teachers, and so that's why the structure is the most important thing. If we're not able to check off everything on their wish list, that's okay.
Yeah.
I want to be able to report back to the staff, hey, we might not be able to do that. Just so
If that were part of this permit, it would have to be done by a licensed electrician.
Well,
No,
let's not have any unlicensed
but you
electricians
have him
doing
lined,
work.
you have him lined up. If you were gonna do it now,
Yeah, oh, okay,
you would have that person lined up when you put in the application for the permit.
yeah. I think
And you would
main
call
concern
out on
is
the
just
drawings
structure.
where the electric is gonna
Baby steps.
be and service and all that stuff.
I would say that, well, I can't say what that brings for the future, but I mean, this plan as it is, it doesn't entail electricity, so I mean.
No, it doesn't.
If
Yeah, but that will also be an added expense later on. If we have to add out there, then we're also paying for power. Because we're now, once we get it built, it becomes the liability, we take care of the building. That means roof eventually over time. And power, that's a cost. That's just we're starting to add things up,
Yeah.
so.
No, I kind of agree with you on the electricity part too, and then,
Well,
there's
that
always,
as well as the cooking thing that
Yeah,
was suggested earlier.
there's more liability there. But
There's a lot more.
I mean, once we accept the building, though, that's our decision if we wanna have electric. Nobody
But that's
else's.
still a cost. It's just, it's
If-
something that wouldn't
if
be
we-
there if it wasn't.
If we
built
think
in
it's
the
too
first place.
costly, we don't do it.
To be clear, we're not asking for electric right now. We are just asking permission to put up an outdoor classroom
Right, it's a
structure.
great resource there.
That's all we want to do.
Yeah.
Get the
Yeah.
kids outside.
Amanda, you took your hand down. You good?
I'm good. It was more of a comment than a question. I was just gonna say I wasn't sure that there would really be a need for electricity because this whole conversation is around getting the kids outside and utilizing this outdoor classroom, and there's power inside. So that was kind of my comment. Like I wasn't sure that there would actually be a need for that. So I felt like we were walking around in a circle there, but.
Okay, all right. If there's no other discussion, we're looking for a motion to approve the donation of an outdoor classroom.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by George. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
I'm still gonna have to say no for the simple reason you don't build a building to put people outside in.
Has
Okay.
no walls, just
It's
a
okay,
roof.
it's all right. Everyone has their own opinion.
Yes, they do.
All right.
Beauty of the US.
All right, motion carries. And also, the board will need to take action, and we'd also be looking for a motion to appoint our facilities manager as clerk of the works.
I'll also make that motion.
Can we put a stipulation that it's no extra overtime and it's all being done during his work time and nothing extra is being thing, because this is costing us money if he has to start.
We'll pay his overtime. We'll put it in our budget, in the structure. If need be.
I think that's
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't.
Isn't he a salaried employee? Is he hourly? Like
Salary.
he's a so
This is long enough. I mean, we're also looking at maintenance duties that are being covered by principals, okay? So you're also looking at things that are it's getting tight right now, and you don't have the people to cover the things. You're just adding another thing.
Well, how about we do this? How about Scott is going to report to the board. So how about we check in with him as well? So he can check in with the board when, I guess, the process starts and let us know if there's any issues with time. So I would say that if it becomes like a whole nother project and it's taking away from his regular duties, then that could be a valid issue. And you guys are still trying to get the funding, correct?
we have not moved forward with any funding, yes, because we wanted your approval first.
Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question or
As long
or
as there's no
concern.
spending, I mean, you still gotta really consider the amount everything's being run thin right now.
Yeah. Well, he's salaried, and I think he would let the principals know if this was time consuming.
Part of when we moved to the director, facilities directors would oversee projects like this, that they would serve as our clerk of works, whether it be, go out to bid with large scale projects. That's part of it.
Well, I understand that, but I also understand that custodian wise, I mean, we got the same issue where I'm working too. We got a bunch of people retiring, and I'm gonna check with him and see if he wants to move to Rutland. But like I said, we're running very thin. He's covering stuff right now. I will, because I'm getting too much overtime. I don't need it. And but you can't be running everything, and that's just another project for him to be looking when he's in here cleaning and he's in wells as well. He's running thin, and people get tired.
Okay.
But this is a grant process, so I think we still have to be submitted and
Right.
we
All right,
don't
I
get
get that.
approved, so it may not be approved until summer. By that time, we may have ready, so.
I'll say this, how about, we'll put this on the agenda for our next facilities meeting, which is next month too. And kind of, we can discuss this as well. Because it's gonna, like you said, it's gonna be time, so, that way we're, I know, ahead, and thinking about that time that you're worried about.
Well, I really don't see a whole lot of time because they seem to be very organized, but if it's there, you gotta think about it.
Yeah, okay. All right, motion by George, to appoint Scott as our clerk of the works. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Should we be in touch with you to, you want to go through the permitting process with us?
You're gonna go through that with Scott.
We'll do Scott.
Oh, with Scott, yay, okay, awesome.
Hathaway.
Hathaway.
Have you met him?
No.
He's in the home. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you for
Thank you.
making
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, teacher appreciation. Oh, I skipped over that. So I just came up with the draft. We can edit it, remove it, do whatever we want for it. You know, every year for the last few years, we've always acknowledged teacher appreciation, and we discussed it a little bit at our last meeting, and I think the board should have something that, you know, a statement from the board for teachers and staff, you know, as we continue to, you know, acknowledge everyone in the buildings, not just teachers. So, discussion?
Isn't it happening now? Like this teacher appreciation?
Actually, is this week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're a little behind.
Okay, I was just saying, they said some junk food in the bus place, so I think that was what our appreciation.
Well,
I think last month I thought we landed on gift cards. Am I misremembering?
Nope, you're correct.
Do we not have parents that do anything like we used to?
Our PTO did a really wonderful
Our
breakfast on
FFE
Monday.
did a meal.
It was really good.
God, I used to do a whole breakfast on one of those days. Hell, that was good breakfasts when I did them.
Step back in anytime.
Oh, my God, I ain't got time.
You should get up at 2 a.m. and prepare something.
Right. I only sleep between 12:30 and 3, so that's critical.
No, I mean, you're right. I mean, the PTO did something, but the board always, you know, the board always recognizes, you know, everyone, the teachers and the staff. And yeah, I think it's a good thing. You know.
It was Tammy.
What's that?
Shit. No, I'm just thinking what we used to do. I used to have a day for myself because I cooked all the things I did. That was my day. People left me my day and I did breakfast for them. That was a very good breakfast, wasn't it?
That was a great breakfast.
That was a great breakfast.
All right, you're making me hungry. Okay. All right. Any criticism toward this draft letter? And you're right, Tara. We did discuss that, but we, you know, like I said, we didn't have anything to, you know, basically accompany it. So, you know.
In the title, could we capitalize learning and community? Just like capitalize all the letters in the salutation, or it's been a long time since I've learned about letter structure, but I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be capitalized.
Sure.
She had English major. Very good at that.
Amanda.
I don't know if we need to say teachers, support staff, food service personnel. I don't think there's any problem keeping it, but I think if we just say recognize everyone in our schools during Teacher Appreciation Week, that's enough. And then we could just capitalize thank you for all your work and dedication towards our students on behalf of the board, sincerely. And then we can decide if we're signing it or sending our signatures or typing our names or meeting in person or.
Okay.
The only reason I would leave it all is because it is Teacher Appreciation Week. So calling out the other people, I think let's make sure that they're named.
And you do have the right to rename it as Staff Appreciation Week. It's a lot of schools.
That would cover everyone. Either one works for me.
Oh, teacher and staff appreciation week?
Yeah.
Oh, just
Or
staff.
Or staff.
Okay. Oh, and then remove all the everything else that Amanda suggested, or?
That works.
So it would just be staff appreciation week.
Teacher/staff, maybe?
That's what I was thinking.
It doesn't let me edit stuff now that it's in this drive, so I'm sorry. I was gonna try to do it and send it to you. It doesn't give us that option anymore, so that's kind of hard.
Well, I'm editing it right here as we speak too. So, all right. Well, it says at the beginning, teacher appreciation. Okay. So, Willow Springs Board of Directors continues to recognize everyone in our schools during. All right, what do people think? Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week, or just Staff Appreciation?
Staff sounds good.
Okay, one for staff.
I'll go along with staff. I don't drive them, you don't get them.
Staff is good with me too.
Appreciation Week. And then remove the teacher support staff, food service, janitorial, and nurse, as Amanda suggested.
I like that.
Yeah, I would just say thank you.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Anything else people would like to add? Okay.
Do we want to say, please accept this gift card, or leave that out and just do a brief? So then the letter goes with the gift card, like, please accept this gift card as a something like, thank you for whatever. Please accept this gift card as our recognition of our appreciation, or something like that. Or do we not do that and then just hand a gift card and a letter separate?
We did that. We had language in that last year, or no, the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was like, please accept this gift on behalf of the board, or something like that. Like, I don't mind. Like, you know.
Even if it's just like a final sentence before the sincerely, like, please accept this gift card on behalf of the board. And that's where we say thank you. We appreciate your work and dedication towards our students. Sincerely, Wells. Blah, 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 blah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I put, thank you for all your work and dedication toward our students. Please accept this gift card on behalf of the board. Does that sound good?
I think it sounds fine. I don't know what everyone else thinks.
Does anyone object to these changes? Sue?
No, I don't.
Okay. Nope. All right. Cara, everyone sounds good? All right. All right, so we'll approve this letter. And then, of course, we had approved the gift cards. At our last meeting, there was no there were no issues with that, if I remember correctly. I think, okay, so would someone care to make a motion to approve this letter from the board and to approve the gift cards as we discussed at our last meeting? Actually, I have to find it.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Motion by Matt. Really quick. All right, there it is. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. $15 gift card.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. All right. So, all right, we move on. Oh, the notes. I will skip over it again. So we have the notes from the Community Engagement Committee that we discussed at our last meeting. So these are the summarized minutes. These are what?
Exactly that. So the idea is that the Community Engagement Committee would meet on Monday. They would go through a proposed meeting recap, like you saw in your materials. And it would be sort of this format, which is quasi-casual, but also getting major points across of interest to the community, and also sort of encouraging people to check the full minutes and agenda, and also tune in for upcoming meetings. So we're proposing that this would go out to the free trade, but also to Front Porch Forum. So in the case this went out on, for example, Community Engagement Committee meets on Monday, they review it, they approve it, they send it out Monday, it would be seen on Tuesday, and then we have our meeting tonight on Wednesday. So it could also promote this meeting and get more people committing into this meeting as well.
Okay.
And then it would be a rotating sort of people from the Community Engagement Committee authoring these in this sort of format from different, I guess maybe it's not always going to have the same tone, it's going to come from different authors, but generally this will be kind of the feel of it.
Okay. I would say that I think that there should really be like a disclaimer on all of them to say that these are summarized notes, from this specific meeting. It does say the board met at Wells Elementary School last month, but it's not like, I think, to have the specific meeting. So that way, if someone wanted the full minutes, they could say, okay, it's from, May 3rd or 4th meeting. But I think this kind of achieves, that goal of, having like a short summary of minutes that can be shared out to the communities and the public. And the intention is to have this like in the, what was it, Lakeside Press, right? Or the Lakeside newspaper.
Lakeside News and Rutland Sun, which it won't make by the or our next meeting, but could still be in there. With Frenchport Forum,
Yeah.
possibly on Middletown Springs newsletter, which is online.
And there's no cost for those
Nope.
papers, is there?
Nope.
That's awesome. Okay.
The other thing I'll add is there's some text in here that's in red. So we were curious to see what the board thought. If that was too casual, we could cut it where we sort of personalize this a little more and like announce who's actually writing the recap that week, that month. So that's text that can come out and we could reskin it so it's more less personal.
I actually like this format.
Okay.
Because I think it delineates this from being official minutes.
Okay.
I think the informality of this is appropriate.
Okay.
But I think the more formal you make it, the closer you get to it. And the only suggestion I make is, instead of a recap, maybe just say highlights.
Okay.
Because a recap would be you try to capture everything that, and you just really are going to touch upon the highlights. So not everything that was touched upon.
Right.
But I think this is I like this format. Just really considering what you want to do with it. So.
That's right. That's right. Not highlights.
Okay.
That's better than summarize. Like, yeah. All right. All right, and this is something you guys are going to do every Monday, or the first Monday of the month, and that's for the previous meeting minutes.
Well, if we get them the week before, we're gonna take turns doing this. I'm sure we'll copy each other on it, but, if it's possible to get it out on Friday, we'd get it out on Friday.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the minutes should be ready within 5-6 days after our regular meeting.
So maybe we wanna move up doing that.
Try to get them done. So.
Sooner the better, and then we might be able to take advantage of the side news.
Yeah, we can move the community engagement meeting earlier.
That's possible too, yeah.
I know, I feel bad. Amanda?
Sorry, I was cutting out a little bit. Was there a suggestion to change the title to highlights from instead of recap? Was that the suggestion?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And then what did we decide on, like the bold kind of casual introduction in the body, or just prepared by at the bottom?
We like the casual nature of it because it lends itself to more of a personal view versus like an official document.
Perfect. I like it. Thank you.
Yeah. And, with this being highlights, this doesn't necessarily need to come to the board for any kind of approval. So I would say that, you guys, just kind of provided, a good example of what they would look like, to go out to the public, and I'm fine with it. I think, when you guys do it and send it out, Amanda?
So there's a piece we forgot to mention, Eric. We need you to put it on Front Porch Forum when we send it to you after it's been completed.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And that doesn't take but a few minutes. And yeah. And the reason why is because I have a Front Porch Forum account that's Wellsprings. It's not a personal, it's Wellsprings Unified Union School District. So but all right.
So I guess we're asking for permission to proceed.
Yeah, if there's no objection to, someone can make a motion, or if there's no objection to these highlighted minutes that the Community Engagement Committee is recommending, you can approve it by unanimous consent.
I mean, I approve. Do you want a motion, or are we just like agreeing in silence?
Either way, I mean, if someone wants to make a motion, I don't care. That's why.
I'll make a motion to approve the minute structure and content that the community engagement committee has.
Thank you. It's like
For
I was looking at you.
Is that not the minutes? It's not part of the official motion. It's not, these are not minutes.
Yeah,
These are highlights.
highlights
Of the
highlights from our meetings.
the structure and content which we discussed, which is recap versus highlight versus yes.
Awesome. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, thank you. Let's move on to.
There was another item for community engagement
Was there?
committee. Well, it's something that came out of that meeting, if I could mention it.
Does it have to do with like the applications and? 'Cause I haven't gotten any.
No, just it's a small thing. Could I just
Sure,
ask?
go ahead.
So, one proposal was that we could have a teacher representative come in to talk, potentially, and just hearing that you guys have this leadership team now, 5 and 5, like we could have one representative join our community engagement meeting. We could have a standing agenda item for them to raise any concerns or anything that they had. So if there was someone you wanted to put forth, or a couple people that could rotate in to speak behalf of, so just having their voice at the community
The only thing
engagement
that is, a teacher should not be approaching the board with concern. They should go into the building principal. There's a protocol for that, process for that. So I understand about, teachers can come in, but
He's building on what we were talking about,
Right.
but not to step on your toes here. We were thinking of on our community engagement committee, having an agenda item for Friends of Education. One for parent-teacher organization in Wells. Your spot is here on our agenda if you have something to bring to us. Not that they would necessarily be members of our committee, but here's your chance to let us know what's going on.
I'm very careful that if teachers have concerns, they have to go through the process, go through Carol and myself, not to go directly to board or vice versa. That's something we're working with all of our boards on.
I wouldn't consider this a place to bring a concern. I think our thought process was more a place to allow them to share if there's an event that's going on that maybe we could attend or be involved in, or if there was some positivity that they could share or ideas, maybe they thought we could have some other kind of inclusive activity, or hey, this is when basketball season starts, this is our basketball schedule, kind of stuff like that, but not a place for us to take complaints, because that's not really what we're trying to do in the committee. We're just trying to get involvement. So if it's decided that it could be put on the agenda, I would of course not encourage complaints and stop that conversation before it continued in that event, because that's not what we were looking for. We were just looking for inclusiveness, I guess. And
No, that's fine, man, as long as you just clearly explain the purpose of this. Right,
no,
to them.
it's not,
Right,
yeah.
yes.
So you're just talking about, having teachers come, but they're not filling in the role, right, for the other two?
no, more of like a public comment addition. Like rather than just public comment, then we would have a spot that, FFE. Does anyone want to talk from the FFE tonight? Okay, awesome, they do. Okay, they're not here, they don't. Does anyone want to speak from the group that Carol and Rick spoke on? There's a spot for them. If they're there and they have something to share with us, that's awesome. But if they don't, then maybe they will next month. Or things like that. Not.
Yeah, it sounds like this is something that could be like fall under like agenda building or something like that. So I mean, you're talking about putting specific things on an agenda, as far as like inviting people to talk and come, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But also, I'm sorry, I wasn't really planning on having this conversation tonight either. Matt kind of jumped to it, so I don't really have everything kind of organized. It was a conversation that we started and thought about, eventually that could be on our agenda. But of course, we would also want to make sure that these groups are even interested in doing that. We wouldn't just want to put them on our agenda and be like, oh, here you are, come talk to us, because that's not successful either. So I think it's maybe a conversation for a later time.
That would involve us reaching out to these groups, absolutely.
Yeah.
See what their interest level is.
Okay, well, that's part of community engagement, so. All right.
Thanks, Eric.
All right, so we'll move on to policy. I gotta go a little bit backwards here.
Eric, could we move back a couple of steps back? In the teacher appreciation, we got $15 visas cards being given out, and you approved $800. Is the $15 plus on top of the $800, or is the $15 cards included with the $800?
It's like $15 each.
Right, and that's in the 800 category. That's falling under the 800.
Yeah.
And it's all good. It's all clear that everybody, we're not giving 10 and 5 because we're running out of money to somebody, because that would look really kind of rude.
No, I mean,
Everybody's going to be able to get covered with the $800.
Yeah, we had asked for numbers from the principals.
Just want to make sure everybody.
I don't even think it's gonna cost, like, if it doesn't cost that much, then that much won't be.
Okay,
That's my understanding.
Just curious because.
Yeah. All right, policy. So we have 4 second reads. Actually, 5 second reads. So we have H2, G5, F5, F1, and F3. F3 being our driver's education policy that last month we warned for adoption. And so, having said that, we're looking for a motion to adopt those 5 policies tonight.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by George. Discussion.
Eric, was H2 second read?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, or?
Yeah, sure.
Just to follow up with Sue, you were talking about something about cooking under community use facilities. I'm just curious where that's kind of stated. I don't see anything like prohibiting or.
So I think it's, in the past, we've had issues with people who will try to access like the kitchen or cafeteria, and we've said no to that. I think I understand what Sue's concern. I think it was, I think even when we're talking about birthday parties, this is what we spent a lot of time with, was that all parties would have to show proof of insurance. So if a family were going to have a birthday party, there'd have to be proof of insurance to use that facility.
Well, it's a policy that it was accepted earlier. I don't know if it last year, because I was not happy with the policy because it kind of eliminated the average person being able to use the school because of groups and small groups that don't have the money for the insurance. So when it was accepted, you guys all approved it because that's what the attorney said. Well, that policy would eliminate any birthday parties and anything out there. If you look at it, because
if you didn't have insurance, yes.
If you didn't have insurance, and that's exactly what I mean. You have a building now, it's gonna be a nice looking building, but you just eliminated what could possibly be a more community engaging facility because you passed a policy that says you better have insurance or else improve it or else you're not using it. And therefore you just killed yourself. And that's
I understand, but we can't talk about liability to this group and then
I get it, but
deny
it's just,
liability to another group. I think if there's liability, that's the world we live in.
And I get that, but you just eliminated it by following your policies that you approved of. You just ruined something that could have been some really nice stuff.
We ruined it.
Well, we had a lot of.
You've limited a lot of it.
We've had a lot of discussion on this policy for the last several months. And, when we first started talking about it, I was in favor of not requiring the insurance. But when we had further discussions in committee, and then we had discussions at the supervisory union level, which ultimately the supervisory union board, had basically, approved this policy as is. The majority of that board felt that also that liability is important. And, I understand the community aspect of it, and, I agree, however, with people being so sue happy nowadays, and there's a risk to the district. And I think financially too, that should there be some incident, and we could talk about hypotheticals all night, but I think the responsible thing is that that it stay what as it is, and it may exclude some people, but I think to a certain extent, when it comes to that requirement, I think there's some flexibility on the cost. Don't know how much it's going to cost. I've heard it doesn't cost much just to get some blanket insurance. I don't know, but again, I think it's more responsible to look after the schools, and should an accident happen.
I totally agree with that, but at the same point, you're a school, you're a community, you should be involved with your community at all times.
Yeah.
That policy eliminates some of that process. You got to be either one of the so you're kind of screwing your community over by holding this policy, which I understand the policy. It's just you've got to find a way where you can be a school and you can be a part of the community and have them here.
Yeah.
And that one doesn't allow it.
And I think there's another part to it too, and that's school sponsored activities don't apply to this.
Right. But
So I mean, if you're inviting the community in to like a school sponsored activity,
that's one thing. But
that's one thing. But
they're still looking at this, using this building for, hey, I want it for the weekend, or just, stuff like that for their own community use. It's on school grounds. You gotta follow the policy, and the policy says no. And that's where it's like.
Well, it says that you have to have.
And not everybody has that for that. And that's what it is. It's not gonna be somebody just coming up, hey, I'd love to use the school grounds to have a birthday party with my kids. It'd be great. It's fun, it's easy. I get it. I see why they would want it. But you're gonna have to say no, because the average person ain't gonna hold a policy that's gonna cover them if something happens to one of those kids on the ground during a birthday party. And I don't think this group of people, even though, I have nothing's wrong with building this building, it's just, I think their overall purpose isn't what will cover under this. And it's gonna suck when they're told, somebody, hey, we built this, we're gonna have to go fun, have a party. No. And that's gonna be a slap in the face. And I don't think they understand that part.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be rude when it's a rude awakening. Either the policy changes or the building doesn't get built. One or the other.
Amanda, did you have your hand up?
I did. I was just gonna say what you said. I agree with what Sue's saying. I understand what she's saying, and we had this conversation a lot, especially in policy committee. But where you went to talk about the school sponsored events, I was just gonna say that does open another option for community inclusiveness. So it doesn't completely fix everything, but I know, Sue, but that piece did make me feel a little better about it. So I was just gonna add that in.
Yeah, I understand. There's potential to make it more difficult for communities to use the buildings, but part of the discussion too was like organizations are going to have an easier time being able to do that. Like a list like Boy Scouts of America and so on. But I know there's organizations here in Middletown Springs, right? That
What's that?
There's organizations here in Middletown Springs that use the school
Yes.
for various things.
We have a group right now, tonight, I'm thinking, ooh, this is gonna change. It's the wisdom of the boards, but I think to get the word out, it does change things, so.
Yeah, and we've been talking about this policy for quite a while, and it's popped up on agendas many times, and I haven't heard a lot from it, but all right, so Amanda.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to make this more confusing, but wasn't there a conversation around this policy, like with the playground, right? So if someone comes and uses our playground, they're not having insurance, they're just using the playground, and we have that sign about liability. Would the outdoor classroom technically fall into that as an outdoor playground area? And then we wouldn't even need to be having this conversation about this because it's part of the playground?
So Amanda, you bring the question of whether or not we can police the grounds on weekends or after school hours. No, we cannot. So if someone were to use our playground, and I know we talked about this before, about there are certain liabilities about upkeep of our facility, like if a child was on the playground and a screw was loose and tore his leg open, and we found that it was negligent because we did not properly maintain the playground, that liability is on us. If someone were to use, say, this gazebo and had a party, and say they had they brought out like one of those solo stoves, and then set fire to part of the gazebo, that then that's it was unauthorized use. That's not really on us. There's nothing we can really do. We can only approve what we can approve. I mean, that's it's an outdoor facility. If they're on school grounds, there's limited what we can do, but we're not going to be policing the grounds. But at the same time, if someone uses that without authorization, there's certain liabilities that don't necessarily extend to the school at that time. So if someone would choose to have a party, an unauthorized party out there, and something would happen, and outside structurally, the school would not be liable in that particular situation or case. So I understand what Sue's saying, but I think, there are individuals that use our school grounds all the time during the summer, after school hours. Schools, like I said, there are a ton of potential, liabilities out there. Look at the playground, and schools should be worried about, anything can happen on school grounds outside of school hours. But like I said, with school, any sort of construction and facility, part of the discussion we had for 2.5 years around this policy was around liability and how that someone is going to use this for a particular purpose or reason, that the school shall be held liable, because one lawsuit would decimate Willow Springs.
So would you then suggest, this would also be a later conversation, Chris, but would you then maybe suggest that with this outdoor classroom, we place a camera like is at the front of our buildings, where we could then see if somebody were there at the weekend and started it on fire, like you're saying, and we didn't know they were coming, at least we would know who it was and have proof that it wasn't somebody that we had sent there? Or is that something that we should then discuss further around this outdoor classroom?
Well, we have outdoor cameras that cover pretty much the whole playground, and definitely covering where the building would be. So
okay, perfect.
24-hour coverage. So that's
And once again, it's not to
okay.
Community use outside. That's not. We have too many other things to do. But it would be if there were an act of vandalism,
right?
And the Rutland County Sheriff's Department would come in, then we would have security cameras to take a look to see what happened, and that's a concern with any sort of outdoor. We've had some incidences over at Poultney and West Rutland. It's unfortunately it's part of life. But we have had security cameras which have helped the Rutland County Sheriff's Department locate individuals.
Just once the building is built, can we erect some sort of signage? I know that a sign is not going to stop a kid with a can of spray paint or somebody determined to burn something down. But there are people who may not be aware that you need to reserve. Like, you can't just show up for a birthday party, that you really are supposed to fill out a form and show liability. Like, and I don't want to like tack up 95 theses of legalese on the building, but hey, if you want to use this space for an event, call the principal. It's like something simple to remind folks that while it is a community space, there is a process to access it, and then the conversation can happen with Rick about purpose, liability, reminding that even though it's out of the school building, no alcohol is allowed. All of those friendly reminders. I mean, the building isn't built yet, so it's probably too early for that, but.
I mean, any signage should apply to the whole property. Basketball court, soccer field, playground.
Well, we had this discussion in committee when we talked about the liability of using the facility, and then what about the outdoor stuff that's accessible all the time? And it's just like, Chris said, you can't police the outside. It's common knowledge that it's open to the communities, so if you were to put a sign that said you have to fill out this form to use playground,
No, it wasn't.
I know we're kind of trying to incorporate the outdoor classroom into this discussion too, but we're primarily talking about community use of school facilities. So, I think signage isn't a bad thing, but what it's going to say is,
Well, my point is don't single out the new structure with signage. It's everything we own, really.
Well, I mean, we can, that sounds like a facility committee discussion too, like honestly.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about something other than, we're talking about signage, but.
Yeah, like my kids and I went to the Tinmouth playground the other day, and they have like a very cute, family-friendly, basically enter and use at your own risk. We do not accept liability for any injuries that may occur kind of verbiage. And I don't think there is one like that on the Middletown playground, unless I have totally missed it. Is there anything like that on our outdoor space currently?
No.
Is there anything like that at Wells?
There is.
There is, yeah. Because Wells is in like a gated space, right?
All fenced in.
All fenced in, yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know if that might be.
That's a facilities committee question. I trust the facilities committee to manage the facilities.
And I'll just say, if it's even necessary, like, I don't think we should do it if it's not ultimately necessary.
Okay. All right. All right. So we have a motion on the floor from George to approve these 5 policies. Any other discussion on these other 5 policies? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. So the F50 policy, I'm not sure. I'll find out why, but the policy that is in at least my packet is not the correct one. Yeah, that's the other version. The the newest one is the one from last month, and it doesn't have any of the edits in it. It's yeah, it's I'm just let me. I'll just share it again really quick. Come on. So this is what we looked at last month, and I think no one had any suggestions to changes on it. The only thing I'll point out is that I think the board needs to make a decision on limiting the amounts of spots limited by the board. That would be something that we would have to determine probably annually, maybe.
What's the difference between this one and what was put in the one we got?
Just pieces from here. One taken out.
Yeah.
Adjusted other places. It's not-
Okay, so,
Yeah,
all right,
it's very similar.
It's very similar, but this is I don't know. If you're trying to compare the two, it just I end up getting cross-eyed. But and the application is with that as well. But the application is completely redone. But those who are online should be able to pull up the one from last month. But I didn't hear any changes last month either. So what's that?
I just wanted to ask Carol if she was any questions that she had on it.
No, she was at the last meeting too. All right, so I mean, if no one has any issues with this policy, we look for a motion to warrant it for adoption. Or we can bring it back next month if board members would like some time to look it over still. What's the pleasure of the board?
I would like to make a motion to bring it back next month.
For adoption or just?
Yeah, I just wonder if we should take a better look at our numbers and maybe our wording around spacing and then kind of bring it back for a final decision.
Okay, so you're suggesting we bring it back and look at it some more.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's a pretty important policy, so I don't want to downplay and push it through without enough input. You know what I mean? So, thoughts from anyone else? Is everyone fine with that? All right, that'll be your homework for next meeting. Like, review this policy and bring any potential changes or suggestions you would like for our next meeting. All right. All right, so we do have an executive session for personnel. Let's see. Before we do that, I'll just skip down to public comment. Did anyone from the public wish to speak now? All right. Oh, Tammy?
Sorry, it's taking me a minute to find the buttons around here. Just a suggestion. I know the town of Wells is struggling with this reservation of our pavilion right now that we have recently built. And I think we're putting in some type of wordage of like, if it's over a certain amount of people in the reservation, that's when insurance would need to be given or have to get, they'd have to get insurance. So just a thought you might want to ask your insurance company about that. Like if it's over 100 people, you need a certificate of insurance or something like that. That may, help so that birthday parties could use it or something like that, if that's something that the insurance company would be okay with. So just a thought to put out there.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Our next meeting is, well, we'll go ahead and, is there a motion to move into executive session for personnel issue at 7:51?
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion by Matt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? All right, motion carried, and we will come back to this meeting link. We'll invite the principals, of course. We'll come back to this meeting link after our executive session and finish out the meeting for those here who are in public. All right, so we are in executive session. Cool. Okay. All right, so we're out of executive session by consensus at 8:14. No action needs to be taken. Our next meeting, June 14th at Wells Village School. Any other lawful business for the board? All right, hearing none, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion by Cara. All those in favor?
Aye.
No.
All right. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
8:15, all right.